Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast after another Sunderland game, and the fourth game we haven't actually lost in, which is a nice change from recent times. 3-1 win at home to Fleetwood. We'll get into it. Don't think the scoreline really reflects the game, but it's 3 points nonetheless, and a big 3 points that takes us up into fifth place. Granted, Plymouth and Wickham, who are below us, still have a game in hand and 2 games in hand on us, respectively, but still a long way to go. John, Michael, and Dan are going to join me to talk about the game and rant about certain things, like we always do. First and foremost, though, John, 3 points, but what a shit game.
Yes, very, very shit game. But like you say, at the moment, it's a bit dog eat dog world at the moment. So 3 points is always the, what I'd say the minimum. We need 3 points more than anything at the moment. Performances, yes, we there needs to be a sort of a. I think Alex Neil touched on it. He did say that we were terrible. But if you can get 3 points and whilst you are playing terrible, as long as you can rectify it, obviously, over the next sort of 2 or 3 games, obviously we played really well at Wigan, we played really well at Charlton, didn't get the result at Charlton that we really wanted, but then you played terribly last night and still get the job done. That's still the sign of a team maybe going in the right direction. It's nice to hear the manager come out and call it for what it is instead of the Johnson. He wouldn't sort of throw anyone under the bus, not personally or anything like that, like Neil yesterday. But he sort of hit it sharp. 3 points is what we needed tonight, and it was a must. But let's not kid anyone. It was dreadful, and it was full of individual mistakes. It was full of collective mistakes, and fair play to have a manager to have. He had his big boy pants, and to be fair, because he took, in fairness, he took the captain off. Which is still a big call. Johnson would never do that.
It's definitely something we haven't seen enough of this season. I think having a manager or players or whatever just take that risk to try and win a game. That's off the top of my head, unless we had an injury. That's probably the first time this season we've made a change at half time.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, even Alex Neil said it was a big gamble, and to be fair, it paid off. So I'm happy. Obviously, this not revisionist, but if it doesn't work, are we going to absolutely hammer him for that? But to be fair, at least it did work, and maybe the substitutes, I thought Gooch was a bit more maybe direct, that we needed. I thought Defoe gave us a little bit more space in the middle with his running, and if you watch Jack Clark's goal, it's Defoe's run that leaves the space in the middle, which we weren't getting in the in the first half. We were just playing between the centre backs. So fair play to him for having the balls to do that, because it's quite easy for him to go, well, we tried and it didn't really happen. He sticks his head out there, and in fairness, he got fuck all to lose. If we don't go up, he just say, well, it was shit anyway. So going back to your original point, it was 3 points. That's massively what was needed going into the Crew game. But we know 3 points is needed Saturday, but we need to see a massive reaction from a lot of players, collectively and individually for Saturday.
Yeah. And obviously, Dan, you can't, ignore the fact that we played very shit against Fleetwood last night, but we got 3 points, which is what mattered. And at the end of the season, like Alex Neil said, it's them 3 points that could make a difference. And, you look at the Charlton game, probably 2, 3, maybe 4 times better performance than the Fleetwood game, but we dropped 2 points.
Yeah, that's just football, isn't it? Like, I know we use this term every season, every week nearly. It was a very Sunderland thing to do, to drop 2 points and then obviously go out and win. Then when we had a terrible game, we played shit. Very little positives from the first half. And obviously scoring 3 goals, never a bad thing in the second half. But even still, we were diabolical for 70 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
That being said, have to be positive. 3 points is 3 points, and if we do go up, when we do go up, we won't look back on the performance. We'll look back on the 3 points and say they were crucial to our season.
Yeah. And obviously, Michael, the last podcast we did, the one word that was used a lot was functionality, or functional. I can't actually remember what the actual word was, but it was something like that.
Not even a word, to be honest.
Yeah, but the word that we used a lot prior to that was standards. And going back to the interview that Alex Neil had after the game, he came out, I think the first thing that he said was it wasn't good enough performance-wise, and it wasn't. But it's nice to hear something like that, as opposed to Johnson or Parkinson or whoever coming out and saying, we played well, got the 3 points, I'm proud of the boys, etc., etc. He came out and said what everyone was thinking, what everyone knew, and didn't hide from the fact that we just didn't play well enough.
Exactly. Again, it comes back to two stands. I know I've said that phrase a lot the last few, but it's never more true. You look at it for large part of that game, for about the first 60, 70 minutes, I thought it was dreadful. I thought a lot of the play was sloppy. A lot of players shirked from responsibility.
I think the first half was probably the most lifeless first half of football I've ever watched.
Well, it was a bit of life. It just wasn't the way we wanted because we decided to give Fleetwood a lead to make it interesting. But I know what you mean. In a general sense, the performance just wasn't there. And for Alex Neil to have the balls to come out on the club's own platform to say that, which obviously the club have to try and keep up a certain PR image and try and make things look rosy enough and positive enough. For Alex Neil to come out and do that, I think is very commendable for his character. And it's not particularly anything against Lee Johnson or Phil Parkinson or whoever else it might be, but they didn't. For me, I got the impression that they just didn't have the standards to try and say, no, yes, we won the game, but that wasn't good enough for where we want to be.
Yeah.
And even though Alex Neil didn't directly say it, he basically implied we want to get promoted at the end of the season. And to do that, we are going, yes, the 3 points are important, but we are going to need to play a lot better than that to have a chance of going up. Yeah. So that, for me, that expectation standards could be, if we do get promoted at the end of the season, or I like Dan's optimism when he said when, hopefully we'll look back at that and say, okay, the increase in standards is the big reason that we did it. Because let's not kid ourselves, there is quality in this team. It just needs to start showing it on a more consistent basis. But it's a funny, perverse world, football, where Charlton on Saturday, like we talked about on that podcast, that we deserved the win. We were functional enough defensively, but we were decent enough going forward to get the win. Played really effectively against Wigan, really effectively, and yet we didn't beat Charlton. Yet Fleetwood, out of the three, for me, was comfortably the worst of the performances, yet we won the game. So these are the type of games, I said it after Charlton, Fleetwood and Crewe have to be six if you want to be in the top six. And I said, we've got three of them. Crewe on Saturday, even though we'd like the good performance, absolutely, like John said, at minimum has to be a win for Sunderland to get into the top six. That's the expectation now.
Yeah. Looking at the team, John, there was obviously a few changes. Jack Clark came in, Embleton for Pritchard, which I think was kind of expected. Patrick Roberts started as well, made his debut, and we'll get on to him because I think there's been quite a few different opinions on Patrick Roberts from yesterday's game. But it's a team that I think a lot of people have wanted to see for a while now. Clark, whenever he's come on off the bench, has made a big impact and, looked very direct. And again, he was yesterday. Patrick Roberts hasn't had a chance really to kind of show what he can do. He got, I think, about 75, 80 minutes in the game yesterday. For a home game that you've expected to win against a side that I think have lost the last 8 or 9 games, I think it is, it was a positive team selection.
Yeah, and I think it has to be. I think Alex Neil's teams are maybe almost set up for, sort of going away to Wigan's and those types of things, and we can, when the onus is on us, at home against maybe what you'd call the lesser teams or teams out of form. I think maybe we slightly do struggle, but yeah, it was brave from Neil to go with that side, and I think it was even braver, at half time that he reacts and changes it, and we probably say we struggle to find ways to get all these attacking players in. But sort of second half, we did have a lot of attacking players on the pitch, and to be fair, we did actually muster up the chances to win the game. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a strange one going forward, because at home against these teams, can we really find that that fluid what we want? Because it was almost in the first half, like the fullbacks maybe just kept killing the space a little bit for Clark and Roberts just sometimes. Obviously, when second half, when we actually found our I was going to say flair, we found a bit of sort of a way to play. Maybe sort of last 10-15 minutes, and it was actually okay, and we had them sort of pinned in. But we need to start with that. Maybe the three at the back gives us that best chance, because otherwise we're just knocking about between Jamajli and Bailey Wright, just back, and you're not penetrating them, and teams will be happy for that when they come to Stadium of Light. So it was nice to see it, being broken up, and maybe the 3-4-3 sort of type formation going forward is maybe the way to do it at home.
Yeah. Well, we've said the first half wasn't very good, Dan, and it wasn't. Sunderland just never got going. Fleetwood never really got going either. They were happy to sit back. And I think the one thing that you'll notice if you watch the game, and anyone that was, listening to it or looking at Twitter, was Fleetwood had a clear game plan that was to come out, sit on the edge of the box and waste time at every single opportunity there was. And I think in the first half I counted 7 players that went down injured, and that's unlikely to have been 7 injuries.
Yeah, it was typical kind of shithouse League One football that we get when we're Sunderland and other teams want to win or draw even. I think they were doing it at 0-0 as well.
Yeah.
Just typical time wasting. Ref does nothing about it. And blue in the face talking about it every week. I think it was your tweet. It said they had 7 lads down at the one time. It's just, I know it's a tactic and it's drilled into them, whatever, from the manager, but it's unnecessary and it's ruining the game. It's ruining.
I think there was even some Fleetwood fans, saying like, "Why are we doing this?"
Yeah,
and there's so many times that teams have come to the Stadium of Light as well and done it. And I'll look at the team and I'll be like, if you played football, you'd probably win this game.
Yeah, like genuinely, they had their tails up, they had their goal. We were playing shit. Now I know we improved in the second half, but we were woeful. If they went after the game and kind of attacked us, who's to say they couldn't have got another one or two? Like, we were there for the taking. So not that I want to tell anyone how to beat us or anything, but no, it's unnecessary and it's bad gamesmanship, and it ruins the game for all the fans. And I'm delighted it didn't work for them in the end. Obviously, the subs at half time, 09 coming on, changed the game, and that was great for him and us, obviously, seeing him back happy. And who else came? We brought Evans off. I think the subs changed the game, and obviously it was very high risk, but the reward was even greater. And fair play to Alex Neil for having the balls and the courage to make those changes, because I don't think Lee Johnson would have done it. Well, I know Lee Johnson wouldn't have done it. We've watched it for the whole season, so yeah.
And obviously, we've spoke about it before we started recording, Michael, the time wasting thing, and referees just don't seem to do anything about it. I think there was one referee this season, and I don't know who it was, can't remember who it was against, but actually did the right thing and actually refereed the game to a decent standard. I'm not going to give him too much praise because there were still decisions in that game that weren't right, but he tried to stop time wasting. If people were wasting time or trying to feign an injury or whatever, they got booked. And I don't think Fleetwood got a card in the game for time wasting, which, considering it was literally 75 minutes they were doing it for, is quite miraculous.
The game I think you're referring to, I think it was the MK Dons game, because I'm at home. I'm certain that there was one occasion where MK Dons, bear in mind this is MK Dons, who are near top of the league, by the way, who were trying to time waste from literally about the 10th minute.
I think it was, yeah.
Was doing the rolling of the arms gesture as if to say, "Hurry up, come on." And I was shouting at the time, "Thank you! About time referees start doing this." And then obviously that's the only occasion that happens. So to bring
it's weird as well though, the referees, because as soon as we start doing it, it gets clamped down on. It's like I said, like before we started recording, I was saying the referee did nothing when Fleetwood were time wasting. We went 2-1 up. We give away a free kick about 30-40 seconds later, and the referee stopped the ball, to stop any Sunderland player from getting it. He hadn't done that all game. He had no interest in stopping the opposition from getting the ball if we had it and taking it away and wasting time. As soon as we went 2-1 up, referee wanted none of it. And I think there was one of the games this season, might have been Wigan or whoever it was, where we were, wasting time a little bit, taking our time with the wins. I think we got 3 yellow cards for time wasting that game.
Double standards. That's what it goes down to, double standards. And, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, everyone's against Sunderland thing, but it's hard for all this stuff to happen continuously and not feel that way. It's very difficult to not feel like there's some sort of conspiracy going on. But nevertheless, if you take away from that, like the Fleetwood thing, as you guys have heard, I used more colourful language off air to say that I was not very happy and not impressed with Fleetwood with the amount of time that they were feigning injury, like you said yourself earlier. 7 players going down. Very unlikely. I think probably at best 1 or 2 of them were injuries. And then they were just taking ever with goal kicks, free kicks, throw-ins, whatever it was. They were doing it from pretty much early as 0-0, like the first 5 minutes, to probably the last 15 minutes. And then their players had the audacity to say that we were time wasting too much when we were ahead. And I was shouting verbal abuse at the players, saying, "Oh, it's not nice, is it?" And I understand to an extent why Fleetwood did it, because they're a team down the bottom. They're scrapping for every point to try and survive. They're 1 point above the relegation zone looking at the table. So, I get it to a degree, but I'm sick to death of it in this league when teams come up here for minute 15 just to try and time waste. And then all of a sudden, if we score first, oh, right, we'll try and play some football now. It's like, no, you don't just time waste and then teams complain when we do it. No, nick off, man. I'm sick of hearing that. I'm sick of seeing that every damn week. And we are the ones that get punished for time waste and yellow cards. If the referees had more of a backbone to a load of other players, then teams would stop doing it. It's as simple as that. So as you can imagine, it was absolute karma at the end when we scored 2 late goals, and then that pretty much killed it. And then it was happy for us to time waste as much as we wanted. And I'll just mention this because you'll know this, Josh, because you were at the game. But it was really, really funny when at the very end, Fleetwood, I think it was when Jack Clark shot over the bar after Jermaine Defoe forced a save from the keeper. The fans were pretty much just throwing the ball around in the stands, just being shit houses and time wasted. Yeah. And you could tell the Fleetwood players were getting frustrated. We're just going, way, way, way. So much karma, you bastards. I'm sorry.
It was just ironic. As soon as we went 2-1 up, I think the ball went through to Patterson, and he's not going to kick it straight away. He doesn't have to. We're 2-1 up. We're being exactly. Victims of time waste for 75 minutes. Their manager was fuming. They have all the players have their arms in the air trying to shout at the referee, saying this, that, and the other. It's just very ironic and very fitting, I think, as well.
Very, very satisfying. To beat them and with 2 late goals after the time-wasting antics they did all game, and that's all they were interested in doing. The goal they scored, we literally handed on silver platter. If it weren't for that, Fleetwood more than likely wouldn't have scored, because I didn't think they looked that good at all. But the fact is, they time-wasted for no end, and in the end, they got their just desserts.
Yeah. Well, Fleetwood took the lead, John, and it was... the first half from Sunderland was dreadful and mistake-ridden, like you said earlier. Bailey Wright goes to pass the ball, I think, or clear the ball. I don't actually know what he was doing. Completely miskicks it. Goes through to Harrison, who shoots probably a little bit under Patterson. Could do better with it, but just a very, very poor goal to concede.
Well, it's the typical, Sunderland goal to concede, in it. If you look that up in the dictionary, I'm sure that little video of that goal will be there. Bailey Wright has been, Mr. Dependable. I know Michael was very much in the Bailey Wright fan club, and I've been in and out of that this season. At the moment,
it was a shocker. I will definitely admit that was a terrible mistake.
But yeah, I can only assume that he's not used to the pitch being, so flat and so nice and no divots. That's the only thing I can think of. That he mishits it, but literally it's out of nothing, isn't it? He's only just gone to play the ball back or a cross, misses it, and their guys, hot on it and just smashes it. And I'd probably hammer Patterson for that as well. It almost looked like it goes through him, and I don't think a ball that straight should go through your goalkeeper like that. So I'm not obviously not impressed by Bailey Wright. I'm not impressed by Patterson either. And it's just an all-round shit goal to concede, which is what we're very prone to after 2 clean sheets at the moment.
Yeah, well, like we said, Dan, we made changes at half-time, and I think the one change that probably should have been made about 40 minutes earlier was Corey Evans coming off. And I don't want to just slate him every single time we record a podcast, but at home to Fleetwood, Corey Evans should not be starting the game. There were so many times, I think Bailey Wright or Jim Adgley or whoever got the ball, they drive forward, and our midfielder goes to sit in his position, which then takes away one option that you have when you are going forward and you're looking to play that pass. Taking him off is possibly what won us the game, as cruel as that might sound.
Yeah, I just don't know what manager's seeing him, because it's not just Alex Neil that started him. Lee Johnson did as well. I know for a fact he wouldn't start in Roy Keane's team, but I don't know what they're seeing him. I don't know how he's captain. Now, I don't want to be slating the lad every week. He's actually, in fairness to him, the last 2 games he's been decent. And he is captain of football club, but I don't know why. I don't know how, because he's just not a very good footballer. Very negative. He's very... I don't want to compare him to Josh Scowen, but it's kind of like that, and he just passes sideways or backwards.
Yeah,
and it doesn't suit the style we're trying to play now.
I think the one difference between Scowen and Evans was Scowen would actually show for the ball. Corey Evans does not want the ball. He'll get the ball and he'll play a sideways pass or a backwards pass. And it genuinely seems like he'll go and find an opposition player and stand behind him.
Yeah, it just seems like he has no confidence. He does, or either that, or he doesn't want to play for us. But he shouldn't be captain of a football club. With the creative players we have on the bench as well, there's no reason for him to be starting in a squad of our standard in this league.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to lay into him. It was a good win, and I don't want to be negative at all. But he can't start the next game. Like he just can't. If we want to win the playoffs, if we want to go up, he can't be starting week in.
Is now the time to bring Dan Neil back in? Obviously, he's been out for a few games, rested mentally, like Alex Neil said. Is now the time to bring him back in? You're home against Crewe on Saturday. Again, you're going to see most of the ball.
I'd rather have Jack Rodwell in the middle of the pitch than Corey Evans, to be honest with you.
That's a statement.
Crikey, yeah.
I don't know what people see in the player at all. I can't think of one good thing he did yesterday. I think
Go off.
the last two, he's been good at breaking up the play the odd time, but Matete can do that. Dan Neil can do that if it's asked of him. There's other players that can fill in that role and bring even more to the squad. Now I don't want to turn this into a Corey Evans hate club the way it does be, but it needs to be said and it needs to be resaid until he doesn't start anymore that he's just not good enough.
Yeah. But second half, Michael, we came out and improved. Again, still not good enough, really. Saw most of possession, as we usually do at home, really, against pretty much any team in the league. But again, still looked a little bit reluctant, I suppose, a little bit nervous to, make that risky pass or to make that forward pass. And again, there was too many times, I think, not so much in the second half, but especially the first half, where it was just kind of one player passing to the same player, getting it back, passing it back to him. Just nothing from it. Second half changed a little bit. We started, creating them little bits of pockets of space, moving the ball a little bit quicker, and eventually took a while in the game, but we did get our reward. Jack Clark, who we'll get onto again later, very direct, very good on the ball, and defenders don't really know how to defend against him. I think there was 3 or 4 times he did this in the game, and this was the time it actually paid off for the first time. Cuts inside, shoots at goal, keeper saves it, Embleton's there to kind of just chip it into a pretty much empty net, and that was the turning point of the game, obviously, because that was the goal that, gave us the motivation, give us the energy to go forward again. But it was an important goal at an important time.
Exactly. And I think that goal, in a lot of ways, was the turning point in mentally for Fleetwood, because I thought after the equaliser, I thought Fleetwood looked a bit shot. I think they looked quite mentally drained, because I think if you look at their recent results, they've not scored in a couple of games. Obviously, we gifted them a goal early in the first half, but they were the game that they didn't lose recently. They were 3-0 up at Portsmouth and should have won the game from that position, but ended up drawn 3-3. So I think maybe they might have felt there was a sense of, here we go again. Once we got level, I definitely noticed that as to be fair to the lads, I did say the first hour was awful. The last half an hour, as the game started to grow as it went on, I think we did start to show a lot more impetus, and like the others have touched on, like with Alex Neil with the changes, fair play to him for doing so. But after that, you could tell that the passing was more slick, it was crisper, there was more purpose in the way that we played. We went forward, we drove forward that extra 5-10 yards, which forced Fleetwood back, as obvious as that sounds. And then once we were getting forward, we were starting to create some decent chances. So I agree with you. I mean, obviously, I think the second goal, I know you'll touch on it in a minute, but I think the second goal was the most important one, because it was the one that obviously ultimately turned a draw into a win. But without that first one, obviously, you can't get the second, can you? So, that was a turning point in the game, certainly mentally for both teams.
Yeah. Well, on that second goal, John, Luke 9 obviously came on. I think 3, maybe 4 months out injured. I think we have missed him. As reluctant, some people will probably be able to say that, but we definitely have missed him. He came on, played in, attacking midfield position. As we all know, he can play pretty much anywhere, and I think that's kind of where he was playing 2 seasons ago, maybe, where he got a couple of goals, a couple of assists, was playing well. Came on there yesterday, and the goal that he scored, he plays it through to Defoe. Defoe's effort is blocked, and he's first to react, puts the ball in the bottom corner, and I think that's one thing that Luke O'Nine's very good at. He's always wanting to win that second ball. He's always wanting to win that first ball. He's always looking for that pass, and I don't think any other player reacts that quickly to the rebound.
No, they don't. I think it's exactly maybe what we needed. You're looking at sort of when the substitutes come up, and you're thinking, oh, Dan Neil will maybe be up because Luke O'Nine's been out for so long. But I just think his enthusiasm and sort of the dynamism in there. I think that did actually give us, not just a goal, but his industry in the middle. Just sticking his head in and just winning free kicks and everything about it. I don't want to overdo it, because it was quite a short period. But like I say, maybe we've been lacking that, because he is, even though he's still quite young, he is a bit of a leader in there. In terms of he will get stuck in, and to be fair to him, and even Alex Neil pointed out, we do need him in and around the box for those types of things, and that's where I think he flourished at Wickham, sort of in behind the striker and getting in those areas, and we know he scored goals for us as well. So it was right place, right time, right desire, and it can only be an asset going forward with with obviously Pritchard out. We need, if Ross Stewart isn't going to score, we need goals to come from everywhere else. And to be fair, they have done. You've got Elliot Embleton finally sort of chipping in. Obviously Jack Clark, from the wing, and you've got three goals from midfield. So that's a massive plus. And having Luke O'Nine back, I think is he's got his critics, right or wrong. But it's not about that now. It's about he is an asset. We need to find a way of getting the best out of him.
Yeah. Well, at 2-1, obviously Sunderland did start time wasting, as you'd love to see, really, Dan. But we kept time wasting. Fleetwood got frustrated. Eventually, they went down to 10 men. Don't think there's really too many arguments about that one. Took Stewart down on the wing. Just it's a standard yellow card, and he was already on a yellow, so it's a red card for me. But 91st minute, I think it was, Matete against his former club plays the ball out wide to Jack Clark, who didn't have too much success in the game, I don't think, especially crossing, especially on his left foot. But he cuts in on his right, sticks in the top corner, 3-1 Sunderland, and that was the game wrapped up there.
Yeah, well, first of all, on the time wasting thing, I know we discussed it already, but I'm delighted to see that. Absolutely delighted to see that.
It's something we need to do more often, I think, in games. Because I've said to John, I've said to Michael, I've said to everyone, there's so many times, not just this season, not just in League One, not just in the Championship, we've been too soft, too nice, not, playing to the advantage of having a referee that doesn't know what he's doing, essentially. We've been too nice, and that's how you win games. That's how you get promoted. And I'm not saying, next time when we play Rotherham, you want to be time wasting as soon as we go 1-0 up after 2 minutes. But it's game management, and that's not what we've had enough of.
No, we've never had it. I can't remember us ever doing it much, to be honest with you, from back in the Premier League days even. But it's great. It's great to see us at it now. I think there was another game we did. I think was it Alex Neil's second or third game in charge? I forget who we were playing, but there was another time we were shithoused in the whole game as well. Anyway, and I just love to see that, because it's something we need to do if we want to take these playoffs seriously. But anyway, yeah, it was. I actually thought Jack Clark wasn't great at all, apart from the goal. I thought he looked lazy, kind of anonymous. His crossing was woeful, but it was a great strike, in fairness to him. Top bins or bottom bins, it was in the corner anyway. Cut in, and yeah, keeper didn't really stand a chance. It was a great strike, and that's kind of that quality he brings. He could be anonymous for 91 minutes and then come out with a goal like that. So
I think someone said on Twitter it was a very McGeady-like goal.
Yeah, that's something we've been missing. So if he plays shit every week but comes up with a goal a game, I won't complain.
Yeah. Well, it did finish 3-1. Obviously, we get 3 points up in the playoff position. Still a long way to go. But we'll move into player ratings like we do now, and we'll get through these a little bit quicker than we usually do. Michael, start with Patterson. I'd probably go with a 5. Didn't have much to do, and the 1 goal he conceded should probably be doing a little bit better with.
I probably will go up with a 6, because if I'm being completely fair to him, I think Harrison's strike was a good one, but you can obviously make your judgments on whether you thought he should have saved it. For me, I mainly put blame on Bailey Wright for that one, because we shouldn't be giving the ball away stupidly like that in the first place. But the rest of the game, I'm just going to give him a 6 because he did the time-wasting shithousery tactics and that picked Fleetwood off, so I'm going to say 6 just for that alone.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, I'll probably bump him up to a 6 because he did make a good save sort of fairly late on, so... Yeah, the time wasting I'll take as well. So yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, and Dan?
Yeah, 6 for me as well. I actually thought he made a couple of good saves in the second half, but the goal was I reckon he should be saving that, although we should never be giving it away.
Yeah.
Also, the shithouse time wasting was good, so yeah, 6.
Yeah. Winchester, Michael, steady performance again. He covered very well defensively. And again, then runs in behind. He was first to the ball. And he seems to win a lot of the 50-50s that, he goes into, which is always good as a defender. I'd probably go with a 6 for Winchester as well.
Steady. Considering he obviously had to go from, I think it was a full back to a right centre back. So, obviously that, he's shown a bit of he's basically shown Luke O'Neill, isn't he? He's shown a bit of versatility.
Yeah.
Really too much wrong. But again, just had to keep it tight second half. And ultimately, you could say that Fleetwood weren't very good, but we ultimately did keep them quiet and they didn't really do all that much, apart from one effort straight at Patterson. So, yeah, you got to give them a 6, I would say. That's about a fair rating, in my opinion.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, same again with 6. Although he did scare the shit out of me with that stupid clearance from the corner flag. But we'll maybe let him off one because he is Mr. Dependable most weeks.
Yeah. And Dan?
Yeah, full house, 6 for me as well. Just steady game, and then he was all right when we moved in 3 at the back as well.
Yeah. Jamali, Arby, whatever you want to call him. I'd probably go with a 5. I think Michael passing in the first half wasn't great. There was a couple of times he looked for that through pass to Jack Clark or whoever was, in that little bit of pocket of space in front of him and didn't make it, whether it was yard too short, yard too wide, or whatever it was. Caught out a couple of times, and obviously taken off at half time. So I'd probably go with a 5. Might be a little bit harsh, but
yeah, I probably would have to agree with that because the fact he got took off at half time, he probably didn't have the greatest of first halves, which nobody did. But I think with Jamali, I'm going to say 5, which might be a bit harsh, but I'm leaning with it in the sense that this is his first 3 games played. And he's obviously gone from not playing for 18 months to playing 3 games in basically 10 days. So yeah. You get 5, but I'm not going to criticize him too much considering he's been out for so long.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, same go for 5. He did frustrate me quite a bit with the sort of stupid diagonal balls that were frustrating me, but he got taken off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, 5.
Yeah, and Dan.
Yeah, 5 for me as well. I think just defensively we were really jittery for that first half, and can't really blame him solely for that. But he wasn't great. His passing was off, and yeah, just not great performance. 5.
Yeah. Alongside him, Benny White, obviously his mistake led to their goal, so take that into account. It was generally okay outside that, I think. But again, first half, him and Jamali just guilty of just playing the ball to each other and kind of not taking any risks, not looking for that progressive pass. I love that word, and I'll keep using that word. But yeah, 5, Michael.
Agreed. Obviously, even as a big Bailey Wright fan,
Yeah.
was first half he was poor, very very poor. I think he was much better in the team, but I think he was much better in the second half, and I still think he adds a lot to the side. But as far as yesterday, I have to hammer him for that mistake. I don't know what he's thinking trying to do it.
Yeah.
Fair play later on, but yeah, over the course of the game, I can't not take that account.
Yeah. John, for you?
Yeah, same. I'll go for 5. Obviously, the mistake was there. And like I said, same about him as Shimajli, the stupid long diagonal balls that, frustrated me as well. But on the other hand, he did win a lot of headers in the air when they were going quite direct. So on balance, yeah, I'll probably go with a 5.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, 5 for me as well. Stupid goal to concede, and it was his fault. But other than that, he was all right.
Yeah. Dennis Serkin, last of the back 4, probably go with a 6, Michael. I think he defended well, but made a very good challenge in the penalty area in the second half. Wasn't given too much space to go forward. But again, I think that mainly comes down to the system, and I think it probably suits him more than it does otherwise. He is a very good defensive fullback. He can still put a good ball in the box when he gets forward. But yeah, 6. Leave it there.
Yeah, out of the back line, I think. We'll say back line that started the game anyway. I think he was certainly probably the best of it. There were times in the first half when he tried to get the ball clear, and he was surrounded by about 2-3 Fleetwood players, and no one was helping him.
Yeah.
So I think as the back line in the first half, he was trying to take responsibility. So yeah, I would say 6.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, same. I'll go for 6. I thought he was right, and slotted in a sort of a left centre back in the second half as well. So quite versatile. Yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, just reiterating everything you are saying, 6 for me as well.
Michael, Corey Evans, to me, absolutely offered nothing in the game. Like I said earlier, just kind of got the ball, played it backwards, and then sat behind our defence, which I think was one of the main reasons why in the first half especially, we had no options going forward. We had no one to pass to, and that's because we were essentially playing with one midfielder because Corey Evans wanted to play as part of the back four, which when you're at home in a game you're expected to win, a game that you're going to see mostly possession for, is far from ideal. So I'd probably have to go with a 4 for Corey Evans.
4 because he turned up, I guess. I think with Evans, I think it's really starting to annoy me actually, because these are the sort of games where the youngsters are pretty much dragging him out of the shit in some games like this, and it should be the other way around. You know, he's got to start showing some actual leadership qualities here, because he's certainly far showing any. I mean, if you want to compare it, 09 offered far more when he came on in midfield than Evans did for the entire first half. So Evans needs to book his ideas up. I'll say 4 just because he put the shirt on. That's it. That's all he did.
John?
Yeah, I'll go for 4. I thought he was fairly poor. I don't think you need a player like that. You know, when we're playing at home and we've got Jay Matete sort of dropping in and picking up the ball, you'd rather, Jay Matete every time have the ball and turn and go forward than Corey Evans.
I think I share a similar stance to what I did when we had Ledbetter. Evans will have an impact in the 11 if he comes on as a sub in a game that we're winning and we want to see out. We want to settle it down, calm it down, and just play with the possession as opposed to get forward. But when you're 1-0 down or 0-0 at home to a side that have no interest in going forward, they're happy to sit back and play for a point, Corey Evans probably makes it harder for you to actually get the win.
Yeah, it does with, Matete dropping so deep, because, he likes to come in and receive the ball, and that's what we want to start the attacks and sort of penetrate through the lines. Whereas yesterday, if you've got 2 sitting midfielders and 2 centre-backs sitting, Fleetwood can just sit back and say, well, play in front of us then. And that's what we did, and that's why it didn't really work. We had to take Corey Evans off. And it benefited us, to be fair. Only other thing I'd say is he's probably quite unlucky to get booked, because it was a cracking tackle.
It was, yeah. He got the ball, had very strange decision. Dan?
Yeah, 2. I just don't like when he's playing. I think it affects their football. Very negative. I agree. Yeah, he kind of Ledbetter-esque if he comes on when we're a goal or 2 goals to be good to calm things down. I think that role suits him. But as far as playing at home against the Fleetwood side, who don't offer much, there's no need for him in the lineup, and he brought nothing to the team. So yeah, 2.
Yeah, very generous, I suppose. Jay Matete alongside him against his former club, as always. Again, I'll say it, League One Canter, energetic, covered the pitch. I'd love to see like a heat map from the games that he's played, and I'd imagine the whole pitch would probably be red if you did. First half especially, I think there was a few times his first touch was poor, and he gave the ball away. But as he usually does, he went and won it back. Obviously got the assist for Jack Clark's goal, I think it was. I'd probably go with a 6, Michael.
Yeah, 6 as well. I thought first half he was awful, to be honest. I felt a lot of the times I think he was probably a bit too eager to make an impression against Fleetwood, because obviously he's his former club. First time he's playing against them, so maybe I'm going to factor that into an account. But first half, I thought he was just really, really sloppy. I thought his ball retention was poor. Yes, there were times, but obviously I'm never going to fault his work rate. He did try to win the ball back, and I think second half he gradually improved as the game went on, and obviously got an assist for Clark's goal. So yeah, I would say 6 is about right.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, same. I go for 6. I agree with Michael. I think he was a bit desperate to show against Fleetwood, sort of how good he was, but he was, maybe that's pushed him into a bit of sloppiness. But what you can never fault him for, and you could probably put on most midfielders who have been here since we've been in League One, that if he does lose the ball, he tries to win it back, but he'll always want it, again straight after. Whereas other midfielders would sort of think, well, fuck that, do not pass to me again, and sort of positively hide. So I don't think we can criticise him on that. But yeah, I'll go for 6.
Dan?
Yeah, again, I just think he was too eager, kind of trying too hard in the first half, and that affected his game. But then he was back more to his normal self in the second half. So yeah, solid enough second half. 6.
Yeah. Patrick Roberts. This could go one of 2 ways, because I know some people were saying he wasn't good, some people are saying he was. I would err on the side of saying I think he was probably one of our better players on the day. We'll see what you think. But I'd probably go with a 7, Michael. I I thought, especially in the first half, he was the only kind of bright spark in the team, really. He got the ball, always had the beating of his man. And I think, as soon as Fleetwood realised that, they had 2, maybe 3 players marking him, and he would still come away with the ball more often than not. Final pass, never quite got there. But again, I think that was more down to the team performance and the fact that no one, for 60, 65 minutes was showing for the ball. When you've got a player like Patrick Roberts, if you can play that 1-2 and he'll get it, he'll beat his man. And, I think he will probably get a few goals and assists between now and the end of the season if players start showing for the ball in them situations. But I'd probably go with a 7 for Roberts.
I'm edging between a 6 or 7. I'll be generous. We'll win the game 7. Yeah, I would say. I think that with Patrick Roberts, I think him and Jack Clark were the 2 players in the first half who I thought were attempting to try. Maybe Stewart possibly, but he had no service. But trying to get things running and going forward. There was a couple of times again where Patrick Roberts, I think you alluded to it there, had about 2 or 3 players marking him. He still managed to skin his way past all of them and leave him dead. And it wasn't just once; it happened 2 or 3 times, I think. So I would say that Patrick Roberts is a player that I've championed that I want to see start in a lot more games. I think I think I agree. He offered a very creative spark, and I think remembering that was his first start. I think that was his first start for us.
It was,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so I think that if you get in more minutes, imagine having someone like Patrick Roberts on the team in the playoffs if we do finish in them. That's why I think these final 9 games we have to, certainly for Saturday, for example, I'd be starting Roberts again because I think it's a type of performance and type of game that would suit him. And I like the look of him a lot. I think he's championship. I think if you go look, judging by the fact he's played in the championship most of his career or played above this level most of his career, I think if you can get him fully match fit, I think we've got a real player on our hands. So 7.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I'll probably go for 7. He's quite direct and, always wanted to get on the ball, which is what we want to see. He has got the quality there. We just need to, obviously, realise it and see it more. But we're only going to get that, if we play him. And hopefully this is a bit of confidence to get him going. Anything I would say, the 10 kick-ups are fine across the middle of the pitch, but do not lose the ball, because if we lose the ball, we are amazing at being counter-attacked and scored against. So that's the only criticism I'd give him.
I've got to say that did look quite good.
It did, but yeah, that's fine. if you lose the ball and they score, then I'm gonna throttle him.
Yeah,
I think it looked all right now when we've won the game, but yeah,
could have at least made a successful pass at the end of it, and then we could look back and say that was actually quite impressive.
Exactly.
I'll call it now.
Sort of thing that
Patrick Roberts starts the playoff final and he does 5 keepy uppies and then scores a volley at Wembley.
Volleys at top corner in the 97th minute.
There you
perfect.
Go. We'll beat Wickham, the absolute kings of shithousery, in the playoff final.
Love it. Dan?
Yeah, a high 6 for me. I think that to keep you up, he's kind of summed up his game. Just it's evident to everyone he's a good footballer, but it was just no end product there yesterday. But at the same time, like you were saying, I think it will come, and I think it'll come good. I'd like to see him start the next few games because it's obvious he is a very good footballer and he should thrive at this level.
Yeah, I think he's got to start the next few games, really, especially when, home games against teams that you will have most of possession. You need them creative players that can, create something from nothing. I think Patrick Roberts does do that.
Just to point out before you carry on, with the home games with Patrick Roberts, I mean, our remaining home games, I think we've got Crewe, Rotherham, Gillingham, Shrewsbury and Cambridge. So for me, that Rotherham aside, we've got very favourable home games. So there's a good chance to get his fitness up right there for a start.
Yeah. Embleton probably got with 6. Obviously got an equaliser, which was a big goal. It wasn't a particularly excellent goal. It was a important one, like I say, right place, right time, tied little finish. But again, there's just something about Embleton that I just don't like, and I can't quite put my finger on it. And I think it's more so because when you've got Alex Pritchard playing, who obviously missed the game yesterday, don't know how long he's out for. Apparently it's not as bad as first kind of estimated, but Pritchard wants the ball every time we kind of get past the halfway line, sometimes even in our own half, and he'll create stuff with it. He'll play that forward pass, he'll get it back, and he'll play it through to someone. Embleton doesn't control the game as much as you'd want that number 10 to control the game, and I don't know, but rant over 6, Michael.
I can't top that. Yeah, 6. I agree with you. I mean, look, in the terms of the comparison between Pritchard and Embleton, it's clear as day for me. Pritchard's easily a superior footballer. To be fair to him, he has had a lot more years of playing the senior level on him over Embleton. To be fair, I think Embleton technically is a good player, but the thing that I noticed about him, and to be fair, first half he did kind of try to press occasionally, but for me, I think off the ball, I think he needs to do more off the ball, and I think he goes he goes missing for me too often in games. But to be fair, when he scored the equaliser, which again set us on the way to get the winner, so I'll be generous to give him a 6. But I think he's one of the players, especially. I think his performances have got to start improving, get back to what they were at the start of the season for me.
John?
Yeah, same. I'll go over 6. Like sometimes you'll probably notice he's not even playing, which frustrates me. But then I think we're matching that up against what Alex Pritchard brings us. We know he's not at that level. But like Michael said, he pops up with an important goal. And his passing stats yesterday with him and the Fleetwood goalkeeper were one of the top, I think, because his set pieces were dreadful.
They were. Done.
Yeah, I don't think it's really fair to compare Pritchard, to be honest. I don't think anyone in the league can do what Pritchard does for us so well. But that being said, if he's going to be playing in that role, he has to start improving. Now, he wasn't awful yesterday. He obviously got the goal that got us back into the game. So, yes, a 6 for me.
Yeah. Clark, Michael, obviously got the third goal, and I want to say the winning goal, because it wasn't the winning goal because it was 2-1. But a very good goal, probably the best goal of the game. Cut inside, right foot, top corner. And, very direct throughout the game. Like I said earlier, defenders don't know how to defend against him. He can go on his left, he can go on his right. Granted, when he went on his left yesterday, it didn't really pay off. Quite a few of the crosses, especially in the first half, way too overhit and just kind of went nowhere. But, he was, like I said, direct, positive on the ball. I think it was his shot that led to Embleton's goal as well. So I'm going to class that as a half assist and a goal. So I'd probably go with a 7.
I'd probably go with an 8. I think for me, Clark was probably the biggest standout player yesterday. I think that even in the first half, when again, like I said earlier with Roberts, I think Roberts and Clark were the two that were trying to get things happening. You could tell that every time Clark out wide wanted the ball, got himself into a position where he could get the ball and cause some damage to Fleetwood. And then obviously with the second half, we'll give him the assist. Go on then. He caused enough havoc in the Fleetwood box to create the opportunity for Embleton to tap the ball in, and then obviously capped it off with a brilliant strike at the end. So Clark and Roberts again, I like the look of. And as we talked earlier with Roberts with the home games, I think with Crew on Saturday, if we're playing even with a 3 at the back, if we go 3-4-3, I'll be starting Clark and Roberts either side of Stewart. So 8 for me.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I'll probably sneak him with an 8. I think obviously the goal, but obviously bumps him up. But like Michael said, even though I was slating him sort of all game for his first touch, but he was the only one sort of really, really trying and getting anywhere. Still needs, maybe a bit of work on his crossing. But the finish and the we'll call it the half assist. Just that does the business for us. So I'll go with an 8.
Yeah, and last but not least, Dan.
Yeah, I think I probably was a bit harsh on him earlier in the pod. I'd like to retract a few of the things I said.
We've influenced your rating, haven't we?
No, I got really frustrated thinking about how bad we were in the first half. He was decent. It's a solid 7 from me. The goal was a great goal, and he did cause enough havoc there in the box for Embo's goal. So 7.
Yeah. Last but not least, Michael Ross Stewart didn't get his goal in the game, but as he always does, worked hard, won the fair share of headers, always running, always looking to win the ball back. Just 6 out of 10.
Yeah, 6 probably. I think that was one of his best performances. But again, in the first half, I'm going to cut him a lot of slack because he had next to no service. Again, barely one was trying to feed him the ball, was trying to get the right chance.
No one getting near him either.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And to be fair, now I'm debating between 6 or 7 because I thought later on when Fleetwood were more stretched, I thought he was causing a lot of problems, and I think he had an impact. And it was a Jules for Fleetwood getting sent off, and then he obviously should have this when he tried to feed through Defoe at the very end. So now I'll go 6 because I'll go 6 because I think his standards, we expect more from him than that. But again, it's because we know he's capable of it. But to be fair to him, if I'm lenient, he had next to nobody trying to help him at times.
John?
Yeah, same. We'll go for 6. Obviously worked hard, but very isolated. But as long as we win the game, I'm not too fussed that Ross Stewart isn't scoring.
Yeah, and Dan?
Yeah, 6. Just quiet for his standards, but first half no service. We won the game, so no.
And I don't usually do subs, but Luke O'Nien, 10 out of 10 for me. Absolutely love him. Michael?
Absolute smiler. Anyone who says he just smiles, go and watch the game again.
Yeah. Anyone going to disagree with my 10 out of 10 for Luke O'Nien and challenge me on that?
No, best footballer in the world.
Absolutely.
Who
John?
needs Alex Pritchard? We've got Sir Luke O'Nien.
Man of the match, I mean,
Luke O'Nien.
I'd still probably give it a Luke O'Nien just because come on, he generally did make a massive difference in the game though, Michael. He came on, he was winning the headers, chasing everything down with, full speed, running at players, a few tackles in there, a few blocks in there, very well taken goal. He changed the game.
For me, I would still personally give it to Jack Clark, but what I will say for O'Nien is that I'm delighted for him, because if you look at his Instagram posts and look that he's been open about his mental health when he's been isolated from the rest of the squad because of his injury and his surgery, I couldn't be happier for the bloke. I really couldn't be happier for him. And he got the most important goal, which was the one that got us in front. So if you guys want to, I would say Jack Clark, but if you guys give it to O'Nien, I'll not stand in your way.
Yeah, John, who you can go with?
I'll probably go with Jack Clark. He did it all game, taking nothing away from Luke O'Nien, and obviously Jack Clark, what a finish at the end. We love that.
Yeah, Danny, you can leave me by myself here, or?
No, absolutely not. I love Luke O'Nien.
I'm willing to forfeit and say O'Nien if you want. Just to make it.
He did. He had a massive influence on the game, and nobody deserves it more than he does. I'm absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah. Hopefully, he doesn't get injured and plays a big part between now and the end of the season.
When we say Patrick Roberts will score the winner in the playoff at Wembley, I'll tell you right now, he'll score the winner, and Luke O'Nien will produce a goal-saving clearance on the line at Wembley to get the championship.
Head first at the feet of an opponent, like he usually does.
I'm sure to people what he offers to the squad, because it is actually quite a bit.
Yeah. Crew on Saturday, Michael. Obviously, we beat them 4-0 in the reverse fixture, which is the only away game I've been to this season that we won. Like to remind people about that. Absolutely shocking record this season. There's one game we've won. I think they're bottom of the league. I could be wrong on that. In fair to them, they are a terrible team. A team that we have to start well against. We have to get an early goal and build on it from there. And to be honest, I think it's a game that, again, performance doesn't really matter too much as long as you get the 3 points, but it's a game that performance has got to be better. Yeah. You'd like to say we score 2, 3, 4 goals in the game and, kind of put this performance against Fleetwood behind us and move on. What are you going to go with for a score prediction?
I'll say 4-1 to Sunderland, because every time I go for a clean sheet at home, we never do. So I'm going to say 4-1 to Sunderland, but I think, I'm agreeing with you. They're bottom of the league. They're on 25 points. Now, granted, when we played Donny at home, we lost to them when they were bottom, but I think if we perform competently, we should have no problem steamrolling these, or at least getting a win.
Yeah. John?
I think it just might be a bit of a scrappy 2-0. I don't think we're at that point now where we're going to turn up and just play some fluid football against a terrible team. It never works like that. It's just, 1-0 sort of, I don't know, Bailey right header.
On football.
And then just, I don't know, another Luke O'Nien scrappy one at the in the second half. I'll just win, and a half decent performance. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And no injury to suspensions as well.
Hopefully not. Dan?
Yeah, I think we'll win 3-0. I'd like to see Defoe get on the score sheet, to be honest. He was unlucky. Well, not unlucky.
I was gutted he didn't score last night.
I was really
saving it for the playoff final, telling you.
I think if he's going to do it, it's going to be against a team like Crew, so, yeah, it's an ideal time for him. Maybe even give Stewart a rest. Pro Broadhead up there with Defoe.
Yeah.
See what I would do in that scenario is if Stewart starts against Crew and say you're 3-0 up after 60 minutes, take Stewart off, get him a bit of rest going, and then go from there. And again, Saturday is also quite crucial. So I know I've had a habit of interrupting you here, but I think Saturday is crucial because if you win that game, then it becomes 5 unbeaten, 3 wins from 5, and then suddenly, like we said on Sunday's pod, I think confidence starts to build at a crucial time in the season if you're going into the playoffs, which is when you need it.
Yeah, with more players coming back from injury as well. Obviously, O'Nien just back, Broadhead just back.
I know Daniel's going to lap over this. I think we've got the manager and we've got the players to do it. Let's go out and do it.
Yeah, I mean, Dan still thinks we're going to get top 2, don't you?
Well, we're finishing first, man.
Are you saying that MK Dons will get points deductions for something dodgy? And then
Hopefully so. I'd love your optimism.
We have to go up this season, surely. Come on.
But
hopefully so.
We have to.
Yeah.
Hopefully so. But we'll be back to talk about that game on Wednesday. Hopefully talk about another win, a good performance, no time wasting, no rants, just pure talking about how good we were. That would be nice for a change. Remind that on Monday's weekly newsletter is going out. First one went out on Monday, just gone. Obviously covering all the results, the ladies team, the loan roundups, which I actually didn't realise how many people we have out on loan at the moment until some of you kindly told me who was out on loan. So everything's covered in that. Go to our Twitter and you can sign up for that, and it goes straight to your email. You don't have to miss a thing. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. But like I say, we'll be back to talk about the Crew game on Wednesday. But until then, we'll see you later.
That's all, folks.